can't do that, Chucky.
Why not?
Because you're an abomination. An outrage against nature. You perverted everything I've taught you and used it for evil, and you have to be stopped.
God damn it.
Back again. Chucky's
It's
back.
me. Chucky.
Tell a
Stab
friend.
a friend. Or I guess possess a friend or
Who
possess
knows,
multiple
dude?
friends.
This is the lore went so crazy at one point in the story. Like,
Right, there it is in the chat. Let me know if you got that. I
Okay.
think it should come through.
I had one note for the entire thing after
Just
looking
one?
and watching and reading. What the fuck? That's my note.
Okay, that's
What
a good
is
note.
the actual
solid.
fuck?
Can you guys hear me? Am I coming in?
yeah, we can hear
Uh,
you.
Yeah,
is
you're
it?
good.
Okay.
Should I
I
be
just wanna
going
make sure.
somewhere? Oh, okay, I see. Chucky Reveal 202.
Mhm.
Chucky,
Yep.
sorry, 202. 2002. Just
Sweet.
just some asshole in a box. I'm guessing that's correct.
Yeah, that's it.
Kareem, notice you didn't include the remake in here. It's interesting. It's an interesting choice on your part.
I mean,
I didn't because I didn't watch it.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, Don Mancini didn't watch it either, I bet. So, and
Oh, he
he's
wasn't
the
part of that?
no. I think he probably
Interesting.
he may have like a producer credit because he,
Yeah.
even though he didn't have anything to do with it legally, I think because he's like the creator of
Yeah.
all the lore, he's the main person. So he probably got paid on it still, but it wasn't one of his projects, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Which is crazy because so I mean we can just kind of jump into the thick of it depending on your experience with the history of the series, but Don Mancini has been part of it all the entire time. So like at one point when it just starts out as the first Child's Play, then 1, 2, and 3, and then it becomes, I believe the next one in is Bride of Chucky, and then Seed. Like the story starts to go way out there, and they're like, oh, we're leaving behind Andy and all this, and then we get deeper into things. And it's just complete bonkers. So it's kind of depends on like how did the series first come to you, and then how deep did you go? Did you follow along as things went, or I guess where's everything? And by the way, of course, we should introduce our guest for the pod, Ray. Welcome to the pod, and
Welcome,
thanks
Ray.
for joining us.
I still don't know what I'm doing here, but okay.
Neither do we, and this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
which is really irresponsible as
Honestly, man.
podcasters.
Cool.
But
Just,
Well, thank you.
just as long as you've got strong opinions on Chucky or just dolls in general, you got
Okay.
a stance you want to take, you take it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
if you're
Um,
against Bratz dolls, you're like, no, they're horribly designed. Why would you do that? That's fine.
You got a Garbage Pail Kid?
Don't you
section?
dare
Think
say
as
that
well?
about Bratz dolls. Don't you dare.
I can't show that tattoo on this podcast.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
it'll
fair
cause an uproar.
Anyway.
We used to be family friendly
Um,
before this one topic.
but yeah, I love dolls. Not in that way, but I love dolls. Yeah.
Again, we used to be family friendly.
Okay. Now there's no turning back.
Not after doll love.
But yeah, thank you
Wait.
for bringing me on. I love horror. I love I love I've seen all the Chucky movies, most of them, at least 2 or 3 times, except for the last one, Cult of Chucky.
Cult,
I
okay.
believe that's the one they took place in a mental hospital with
Mhm.
Fiona
Yes.
North.
Yep.
I remember, and there was a bunch of Chuckies in that one, and
Yeah.
I've seen the
So-
series. You guys seen the series? I'm getting
Yes.
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah, we're all caught up on season 1, preparing for season 2, and
Yeah.
seeing where all this is going to take us. Considering there's like when I first heard about it, like I was asking these guys because I had followed the lore up until a point that when they came out with Curse, I was like, oh well, what is this about? And that's when it starts to be like, we've got other backstories we want to tell now. Like we're just gonna we're gonna throw some more stuff at you, and it's just like, oh okay, so you have an entire story Bible for Charles Lee Ray, and you just want to keep going. And so like that's where it really starts to go out there, and it's interesting. And yeah, there's, as you mentioned in Cult, there's like 3 Chucky dolls, and that's even further advanced. So what about I know Kareem, Pat, what was your history with everything?
Oh, go ahead, Kareem.
I think I jumped in just as most people did in Child's Play, the first one. I think I mentioned to you guys several times that I used to have my buddy doll. I am 6 years older than my sister, so for a long time I was an only kid, and I think before my parents were really committed to having a second child, and maybe they just saw how weird I was with my buddy doll. I think they tested it out. They're like, "Oh, if you give him my buddy doll, he won't ask for a sister or a brother, and we can keep going on." And then they're like, "Wait, hold on. His relationship with my buddy doll is getting kind of weird. Let's put a real kid in and get it's wean them off of this before this goes somewhere." So I had one of those dolls.
What happened?
And
to it? I'm sorry.
to my buddy doll.
Yeah.
Don't-
You said what?
Thankfully, I outgrew it. But my sister got I think it's kid sister or whatever, whatever.
Kid sister. Kid
Yeah,
sister.
she got one.
My buddy, wherever I go, he goes. My buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy, my buddy and me. Kid sister, kid sister, kid sister, kid sister. Wherever I go, you're gonna go. Kid sister, kid sister, kid sister, kid sister, kid sister and me.
And we thought we were geniuses because we were gonna like wash the doll. We were like, oh, we're gonna give this doll a bath, but we didn't Pine Sol because it was the only cleaning product we had access to. And my mom got very upset because not only did we douse the entire doll. Now, mind you, they're made of like that spongy. Their bodies were made of sponge. The head was plastic, but the body was like sponge or whatever,
Yeah.
cotton. Whatever, I don't know what was in it, but it absorbed all of the Pine Sol, and we couldn't get all of it out, so we just tossed it behind the door. And I don't know, for whatever reason, ants love the smell of Pine Sol. So there was like this pile of ants that came from outside the house through like 2 rooms to get to our room that was towards the back. And they were just like all over this thing. But I think I did my parents a favor because they were also trying to get rid of those dolls as well. And my dad, I think I threw it out once, or my mom threw it out. She was like, this doll is worthless. The kids have beaten it to death and we're gonna get rid of it. So she tossed it in the trash. And my dad was like going through the trash for some reason, like, oh, hey, the doll's back, and gave it to my mom. She's like, no, I'm getting rid of this thing. So we had our own sort of semi-Chucky moment where we're like, oh, we're getting rid of the doll. Doll's gone. And like 2 days later, he's back in the house. And we're like, how did he get out of the trash? So all that to say that when this movie came out, I was, scared, as I think it was meant to do.
Yeah.
So, and I think I had just we had just gotten rid of the dolls in our house. At least we thought we did completely. So, in retrospect, I was like, oh man, I'm glad we don't have one in the house. But I could see the marketing behind it. And what's the director's name, or the producer, the writer?
Don Mancini.
Yeah, I can see where he was going with that. And we'll get into like, his actual thoughts behind like, why he decided to do it. And I think it was supposed to be even sort of darker than it ended up being, based on like the notes that you get from like production and stuff for the first movie. I then watched Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, and that kind of sort of dropped out for a long time right after 3, because maybe the not having Andy in it or whatever, I don't know, but it seemed like he was experimenting, and I don't think I was old enough to appreciate the experiments he was trying to do with Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, and all those other ones like that. And I have gone back since, just as subsequent Halloweens have come up and been like, oh, let's watch a Chucky movie, and kind of seeing where he's going with that. Pat?
I early adopter, saw Child's Play 1. We had a My Pet Monster, so it's pretty safe. It's fine.
He had chains on him. He was bound up.
Not coming to life.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Pat had a Chia pet that he called Chucky.
Whatever, same difference. I think I also got through 3 and then fell off because I had no idea what was going on, and it made my head hurt when I would see the commercials. And then when they announced the series, Curse of Chucky happened to be on, and I jumped into that. And at that point, all bets were off because of this bat crap insane series that has just it's like they saw what comic movies were doing. Like, we need a Chucky extended universe, more lore, pile it up. Excited for Charles E. Ray ancestors.
Well, and apparently we all missed out on the comics for the most part. Like, none of us until until later on got into the comics that were there, but like weren't. It's interesting to see like because there's an interesting corollary between horror and comics. Like, there's horror comics for Ash from Evil Dead. There's like Army of Darkness. There's a lot of legal stuff there. There's Halloween comics. Like,
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. I need it.
Yeah.
Now that's another one I got to seek out then.
Yeah, there's a bunch out there, and there's even like I think one of like the third script or something for the Freddy versus Jason, which is Freddy versus Jason versus Ash,
Yeah.
eventually got turned into a comic. So it's like the correlate there's a lot of like kind of untold stories that people put into comics, which you have some history there, of course, with the old EC stuff, with like Tales from the Crypt and all that, and how that bleeds over into into the comics industry. So there's a lot of creators there who are just writing stories they couldn't get produced in other mediums. So it's surprising to see that all that stuff existed.
I'm always
Um,
surprised to see them make a comic when the protagonist is the murderer, because
Yeah.
you're gonna have to build a lot of lore in order to make it semi-sympathetic, I guess, or empathetic
I mean,
for the reader.
similar to the movies, it's like usually it's based like you're introduced to a new teen group of people who are about to die. So there's like, oh yeah, this is them, and then
Okay,
along comes
gotcha.
this. It's very much like similar to the
Okay.
similar to the. Although there are also comics. There's a series called Hack and Slash, where it's
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, it's more based on the people defending, but it's then taking out like but again, it's very rarely based on like, oh, this is his story, because we really want to empathize with these.
That's what I was
these
gonna
guys.
say. Yeah. Well, because I mean, they do the same thing sort of with like Aliens as a series. Like you said, they introduce your victim at the intro, and then the series is about mostly the killer.
And so
Ray,
yeah.
what was your first Child's Play film? Did you start at the beginning, or did you jump in like the middle, or like what the hell is even happening right now?
VHS. All
right, nice.
Ooh, nice.
VHS, baby.
Local video store, and it's the only way you get R-rated movies at a very young age. I was not that young.
Yeah.
The horror movie section with all the boxes.
Yeah.
Good old days, man.
I think I borrowed 1 or 2 movies a day. I remember
Yeah.
just because that was the only way we had no internet.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, video stores only had 2 sections. It was like they said there was PG rated R. It was like
yeah, horror,
all the movies, and then the stuff behind the back doors that you don't.
Yeah,
go
yeah.
That was the only 2 sections in a video store.
The silky curtain,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Secret part.
That VHS. I would think maybe the first 3 was all on VHS that I saw, and I think it was Patrick that said, or Kareem, I forgot, that it wasn't until Curse that reinvigorated my interest in Chucky. I think around that time, Annabelle from Conjuring caught my attention. In between those movies,
Don't say that too loudly. They're going to be a crossover.
I'm
I'm sure it's already in the works.
Yeah, we're watching it and talking about
Although
it.
I don't quite understand. I don't think Annabelle does any of her wet work though. If I recall correctly.
What
I don't think Annabelle does it.
She gets contractors. Like I don't understand.
Yeah, she's like a presence basically more than she is like.
It's a little Final
someone gets hands on.
Destination-y.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. Speaking of dolls, that's what I own, an Annabelle doll. I don't have a tiny Chucky doll, but
I'd rather have a Chucky doll. I feel like Annabelle's like supernatural powers or just
yeah. I guess you can say you can argue there's really a soul in it. Well, I think in the origin story,
I mean, you have a chance of getting away. I mean, you're gonna get maimed, but you have a chance of getting away from Chucky. Like Annabelle, you're definitely gonna die. You've already died. You just don't know it.
You can't
It's going to be like a creepy ghost death too. It's not even going to be like, I just got stabbed, I'm dead. No, it's like, oh, it's going to be days of driving you insane with horror, and then a ghost eats your face, and now you're a ghost too. And now Annabelle owns, like, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So Kareem, you said you used to own a Chucky doll. Do you have any desire to own it again?
No,
We talk about
no,
owning
not at all.
dolls.
I don't necessarily. I don't believe in the supernatural, but
Yeah,
why play with
same
it?
here. But what?
He also wasn't like a cool looking doll, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Like, I have my redheaded friend now,
He
and
might
he's
kill you
not a
for
murderer,
that
so
comment.
I don't need a mini version in overalls.
So yeah. So who else owned dolls here?
I mean, I had
hard
action
dolls,
figures
hard dolls.
like a man.
I did have a Cabbage Patch Kid as a kid. But then like later on, like after a while, I was
My
like, no,
wife told me to
they're
get rid
actually
of it last week.
Yeah.
I mean, full disclosure, I had a Rainbow Bright. She was my first girlfriend. Loved Rainbow Bright.
There
What
we
was
go.
Rainbow Bright? Was
Rainbow Bright was the rainbow colored doll. She was blonde hair. She had like little animal friends. I mean, we'll
Okay.
have the producers throw some clips in here
Yeah.
for the audience.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they and like the bad guy was like turned everything gray. Trying to remember what his name was.
as the anti-rainbow would be, I suppose.
Yeah. Like
Ray
Grumble or
McGrayface.
yeah.
All these confessions, I don't feel so uncool about owning an Annabelle doll now.
Oh no, trust me. As we've all seen here, the one with the most ridiculous amount of stuff about them is me. I mean, you have a signed pop from Ahsoka Tano, but it doesn't mean that's
It was
one.
on the floor, so I
pulled
put
up
on
these.
I'm not. I'm kind of faking this. I had stuff laid all over. I had to put something in the back.
That's good.
But yeah, I own that Optimus Prime, Ghostbusters.
Which one?
Right?
Oh, that one there.
Nice.
That one's that's the
Not
that was one of my
change,
favorites.
That's pretty-
That was one of my favorites. That the Ecto Prime is amazing.
At Comic Con, is that where you got it?
Yeah, I still
yeah.
I still have the proton pack. It came in right
Oh,
because it's like
Nice.
it's just a good box.
I must have been behind you in the line. You
Yeah.
know,
That's dude. I mean, Comic Con's always crazy. So
I don't know. Check your numbers. There's serial numbers on them. Check.
Oh,
I want to
fair
read
enough.
out first.
if they pull them out of the same case, actually, I don't know if those are numbered. They probably are.
Everything's
This-
numbered. It's Comic Con.
This one's not. This one's like this one was at one point, and so were they for different releases. But these are just standard releases. I'm not fancy enough.
Lame.
Yeah.
All right.
Which-
So we've all had dolls in our lives. Obviously, none of them have been possessed and killed us because we're all here.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. As far as we know.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Until they find out what we're talking about here, then they'll be.
that's the bonkers thing from the beginning. So it's like even with from the first movie on, it's made clear like he's like Charles goes into the doll, and then he's like later on he's like, oh well, I gotta get out, and he goes through this like whole like scavenger hunt to get everything he needs, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and like they set the story like, oh, you can only go into the first person you revealed yourself to. So he's like, okay, well that's him, that's a kid, so I'm sticking with him. He's my ticket out of here.
What?
This. I didn't think anybody could hurt me. But last night I got shot. You know something? It hurt. It hurt like a son of a bitch. It even bled. Now, why is that, John?
You're turning human.
What?
The more time you spend in that body, the more human you become.
You mean I have to live out the rest of my life in this body? No fucking way! You got me into this, you get me out.
I can't do that, Chucky,
Why not?
because you're an abomination. An outrage against nature. You perverted everything I've taught you and used it for evil, and you have to be stopped.
And then somewhere around 3, they're like, well, I'm a little bit fuzzy on the whole good bad thing.
You've kind
here,
of
guys."
gotten reborn a couple times now. So I guess maybe it's just if you reveal yourself, and then there was a time limit, but we're going to go ahead and cut that time limit because that really hurts our storytelling mechanic.
Yeah, because in the second one or in the third one, he tries to go with I forget the little kid's name, but I
Andy?
want to say it's what's
It
that,
was
Danny?
Tyler, wasn't it?
Oh, Tyler. Sorry.
Tyler. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, and so it's like Tyler, who I'm also curious, like they're pulling a lot for the series. They're pulling other people back. I'm like, is Tyler going to show up?
No, Tyler was stupid and
it's-
whack. I'm glad Tyler isn't back.
Tyler's coming back. This is
Tyler-
Fast
I know,
and Furious.
I know.
This
Yeah,
is
that's true,
literally
yeah.
Vin Diesel calling everybody in.
It's about family. I do like that. I think in the post credits for the fifth one, or God, no, that'd be like the seventh.
In the
or
Fast and
something.
Furious movie, there's a Chucky doll in the back seat.
Yeah.
No, that's,
Right.
that's just waiting for the Expendables of horror movies. I'm sure it'll exist at some point. Like they're just like the only hard part is like which license that they properly land in.
Yeah. Universal's got a lot of them now.
Yeah, but even Andy's like he talks to his mom who's still around, and I'm like, wow, they're really just like, all right, they're leaving things open, so like we can have her come in at some point. Give me back my son. Like
She hasn't done anything since Seventh Heaven. She could use the word. It's fine.
true, very true.
Yeah.
No.
Do we want to kind of go over a quick overview of his history? Just kind of going through. I mean, we kind of hinted about like, I know you were just talking about the spell itself. So we got the first movie with, I guess Andy and Charles and the rest of them or whatever. I guess starting off we have. Where's my overview for this?
So the initial movie basically starts off in the middle of the lore now because they've backfilled so much of it. But basically it starts off with Charles Lee Ray. What's up?
I was like, yeah, like with Charles Lee Ray as a kid. Like they said, we're getting all this story Bible of like, oh, you didn't know about this, but this is actually all his story.
Oh, you didn't know?
No! Your ass better murder somebody.
Your ass better call somebody.
So is Ray's killed in the first at the opening of the beginning of the movie, right? The first one.
Yeah. By a cop that it does.
Mike Norris.
There you go.
You remember?
Yeah, Mike Norris actually though I think hands out a bit of extrajudicial justice as cops are wanting to do in the 80s, I suppose.
It's an 88 police officer. Dirty hair is big.
Yeah, just the 80s, or I mean, just as they're known to do. Period. But
fair enough. And I don't know if we have. Do we have a set body count for Ray? Because I feel like it's expanded as the universe has gone on, but I felt like he wasn't a big time murderer, as big as they're making him out to be in more recent years.
Or anything like that.
Well, he was a killer. Like, and he killed a couple of people, but it wasn't like. I mean, as we get into the show, he's been murdering for the last like 40 years.
Yeah, I don't know if we have an actual body count for him, but we do know that the one thing there's two things this man loves: murder and voodoo. Well, three.
Yes.
And his girlfriend who becomes Jennifer Tilly, so kind of. But I think it's really just murder and voodoo. So he voodooizes himself into a good guy's doll, which is just a My Buddy doll. Just a knockoff of My Buddy, straight up. That's all it is.
Yes. And I think, to their credit, My Buddy dolls really came in only one skin tone originally. They started expanding as like the product got, I guess, more adopted. Good guy dolls refuse to do that. They are just stuck on the redhead.
Yeah,
they doll
and just a boy.
Why?
They eventually they did expand out, but they just like, we paid for all this white plastic. We might as well use the Caucasian one before we go out do anything else, and then the fad died down.
Well, is the Jennifer Tilly doll a good guy doll, or is she just like custom made?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's something I don't know if they've ever covered in the lore.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like they only make good guy dolls. They don't make good girl dolls.
Guys, they're gonna cover it in the lore. Don't worry. Season 2, it's all gonna be about that. That's all it's gonna be about.
No, man, he's gonna hear this podcast. Is it an idea?
Yeah. So raising the doll.
Shit, I gotta add that.
Doll gets delivered to Andy.
Yeah.
And
so
hijinks ensue.
Well, he gets the doll, so he desperately wants a good guy doll, and his mom, she's just what is her actual?
She's an overworked single mother.
Karen Barclay, overworked widow, is trying to make ends meet. She can't afford a good guy doll. Those are like $200 because it's the 80s.
They were something like that, yeah.
And
That Reaganomics hadn't kicked in yet.
Okay, show her. Well, is it a good guy or not?
It is. It is.
Yeah, well, I told you.
Oh, how much do you want for it?
$50.
10 and not a penny more.
30.
What are you kidding? That thing is not worth $30.
Look, take it or leave it. Somebody else will buy it.
I'll take it.
Karen, it's too much money.
No, it isn't. You have no idea how much Andy wants this doll.
But we don't even know if the damn thing works.
There you go, lady. May it bring you and your kid a lot of joy.
Thank you.
So she ends up buying one from a guy in a back alley who kind of stole one from the plant, and it happens to be the possessed Chucky doll.
No, he steals it from the store because it like part of it there's a whole fire and everything, so he pulled the doll out of like the trash.
That's right.
And that's how, because apparently like when they went to clean up, they're like, oh well, we'll just put this back in the box and then throw it out. And I guess they could have just thrown it away and then he was like, oh, I'm gonna save the box because this is how the stuff's. I'm gonna put this on eBay.
I was gonna say this guy knew about eBay and about making things in prime condition, how they sell for more.
Exactly. He replaced the tape. It's like they'll never know it's not mint on card.
I was
I'll
gonna
give
say,
you some-
imagine giving that doll without a box to Andy. He'd be like, "Oh, this is bullshit. I know this is counterfeit."
This is not like new.
Yeah, not like
This is not mint condition. I don't know how I'm going to resell this later on.
Exactly. Can't fool your child without a box.
Well,
How
Andy,
did the guy find it? The homeless guy. He was homeless, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to.
yeah, it was the 80s. If you did anything in the trash, you were automatically homeless. That's all.
All
You
garbage
are
men were
homeless.
homeless.
That's it. That's all it is.
So how did the automatically homeless guy find it? Was it outside of the store on the floor?
Yeah. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the store, after the crime scene was cleared, they just threw away what they thought was damaged goods.
This is
And
not crime. This is not evidence.
yeah, this is for waiting for a CSI. I will say though, so I did find a still from the movie. It looks like the Tiffany doll was just a random bride looking doll. It wasn't like in box. They just
It
happened
was
to have
custom made. Yeah,
Yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, it's just a bride figure doll thing.
gotcha.
I just, in case I ever need to have my soul put in a doll, just keep this handy. Thanks.
Yes.
All right. Well,
Answer the
that's
question
the
no one
basis
asked.
of Chucky. That's how he gets in there. As Kareem said, hijinks ensue. Chucky goes on a murder spree. Nobody believes Andy, think he's crazy and probably a budding serial killer. Eventually, Chucky decides. Eventually, Karen decides that her son's not crazy. Like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this, and tries to throw Chucky in the fire, and then he attacks her.
She checks the batteries. She sees
Yeah.
she checks to see the batteries are there, and he's talking and there's no batteries, and she's like, what?
Yeah.
And then I think that's when Chucky's like, gotcha now.
Yeah. The real weird
Right,
time
okay.
to reveal yourself. Could have done that.
So the question I have
Killed her earlier.
is, part of the spell, right? Is the voodoo guy that he ends up killing later on, does he tell him that he has to be put in another bot? Like, how does he know the rules for this
So,
spell?
I
And
mean,
why
we
does
get-
it have to be a child?
It doesn't have to be a child. It has to be the first person he revealed himself to. That's the original canon. It was
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was just the idea, and then also he needed the amulet that he had when he died, because he needed that as well, and those are the main things.
Does he, or does he just need to say the spell?
Initially, he needed the amulet because he had to go and get it. Like that's
I
part
thought
of
you
the
need the
thing
amulet later on.
that
How did he transfer to the doll? I don't remember him using an amulet for that.
Yeah,
He-
he just
he
he,
does-
just has he has to knock out somebody and starts doing this. He needs enough time to say the spell.
No, but
At least in the
turned out
first
he
three.
had an amulet on him, though. That's why they had to dig up his body in like part
in Bride,
5 in Bride.
Bride, which is 4. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Okay, all right.
and so then one of the things, so that he kept saying, like, initially, I guess in the first movie, it's just a matter of it's the first person you reveal yourself to, and then later on they bring the amulet in. But he had the amulet initially when he had died, and I believe they at least retconned that in.
It was in his
from
coffin, yeah.
Bride. Yeah. So that was, and that's
But
kind of why he's like, oh, I've got to do Andy. And I do remember too, Mike Norris is fairly competent, because he's like, when he says when Andy says Chucky, he's like, wait, what's the name? Like he's kind of like keyed in, but he doesn't know exactly what's going on, because who would believe that? Who would think that this is viable? So
Mhm.
yeah. And then I mean, Chucky ends up, because he kind of frames him for killing the babysitter first, and then like there's
Mhm.
other goings on. It's like the first movie is good in that suspense of like, when's it gonna take, when's everyone gonna realize what's going on, and they stop Chucky the first time, because it's like they shoot him, they throw him in the fire, they like
Beat
they
the
do a
shit
bunch
out of him.
yeah, he is
And then
Like a Terminator thing.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and then it is way like Terminator, isn't it? Because they're in
Yeah,
the
I was just
factory
thinking
and
that, yeah.
everything. Oh
Yeah,
That's right.
because he's crawling with his like little hand.
guys with a little thumb up.
Yeah.
Now I know what love is.
Yeah.
Now I know why you cry.
And then part 2 is just part 1 again with a foster family. I'm willing to go on. Yeah, it's no one believes Andy. Chucky goes on his little rampage.
How does Chucky come back though in the second one?
Wasn't it they rebuilt him? Was that the one?
They
Okay.
reused some parts from the damaged one in part 1
Gotcha.
to remake a doll. So he
Because good guy good guy is really the villain.
Yeah, because they're trying to recoup their image. They're like, we took the parts and we made sure that they weren't bad. Like someone switched his doll to evil. Like
Evil corporation.
Yeah. Of course, capitalism, that's the real enemy here.
So I'm saying good guys are really the bad guys.
I just like the idea. Well, we're definitely going to reuse this plastic because we're trying to be environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
We can't we don't want to be
in
wasting
the early 90s.
Oh, I'm sure that's what the PR team was like. And we reused all this, so we had less waste this time. After we verified
You mean the murder parts? You reused the murder parts?
I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
This interview is over.
It's pretty clear that the cop went crazy and murdered all those people, obviously, because no way a doll could do it. You sound stupid right now. Now take your murder doll and get out of here.
That's right, because didn't Andy's mom, she was committed, right? That's why he's in a foster home.
Yeah.
Even though her son's corroborating her story.
Well, I think at least
and the cop.
Yeah, maybe protective services took him away out of but I don't think she's fully. Well, maybe she is committed. I don't remember.
No, she's committed, I believe.
Dang, that's crazy. Because
I think like she disappears. Yeah.
That's like the cop. The cop is there to cooperate. Also, the partner is there too. The cop's partner. Like, there's 3 adults who are like, no, that doll evil. Like,
yeah. Well, were they all committed as well though? Because
we're all 3 of them.
Really see Mike Norris again.
Yeah, it's true. Which again, I hope we keep. I don't know. Is the actor still around? We don't know.
Have you guys read the comics or so?
No.
Yeah,
Does Mike
what do you
make a
got for us?
return? Well, I won't say anything, but
No, go ahead.
Oh no, say
this is the place to do it.
It takes place between 2 and 3. I think if I remember correctly. Some characters make appearances and are committed or get involved with the committed people, and Chucky kills a bunch of people.
What?
As he typically does.
As he's known to do.
The problem for Mike Norris was he didn't kill people. It's like, you shot a doll, man. If you had shot a person, we could put you on suspended leave. Fucking around with property though, buddy.
Yeah, we gotta replace
that. You go. We're gonna have to.
So you're saying a possessed doll is not a real person? That's not considered her life.
It's property. People aren't property. You kill them left and right.
And Chris Anderson's still around, so he could be, or I'm sorry, Chris Sarandon could still play that part. Like he could be living with mom often, like on the farm.
Isn't he Humperdinck?
He is Humperdinck
from Princess Bride. Okay, just setting my expectations.
So he'll be back. He'll be on the show at some point.
Yeah, there's no way he's
the way this show is going. Yeah,
I mean,
part 2 is foster home. What is
part 3 is military academy.
Yeah.
Part 2, same thing. Part 3, he comes back because the doll has become like living tissue because he was in there too long, and so you see the blood mixes in because the good guy, the Play Pals company, just will not take a hint.
Well,
and so they make more of that.
Living tissue like Terminator.
That's the great thing too.
Going.
Like, so in 2 we also meet Kyle.
Skynet. What's up?
In 2 we also meet Kyle, and she's definitely worth noting because she's a cool character.
Skynet.
Yeah.
And when the final showdown at the factory 2 is very like T2. I'm sorry, Terminator 1 in some ways, like the way all the machines are.
What it ends like T2 though, where it's all melted. Like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. But so like in number 3, they show the very beginning is them cleaning up the warehouse, and then just like, oh well, let's reuse all that plastic, and they put all that plastic back into the thing and just start up a new batch.
Is why woke environmental culture is ruining America, because it brings back mystical serial killers that possess dolls and go around murder sprees. Thanks, Obama.
Reduce, recycle, reuse. That's
remurder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remurder.
How many deaths has recycling caused?
That's what this message is all about. Don't recycle.
So horror reboots are remurders.
Basically.
Yeah.
Especially if they're bad ones. But I think I had mentioned this in the chat. I'm like, how I want to see just, at some point that they have a commercial. I want them to have a BP commercial because they have to at this level. Because their doll has at least been photographed with at least 17 bodies to it. The good guys, like they have to come out with a BP commercial. Like we're here to like make everyone feel like our dolls are safe. We are here to protect the environment. So they have to have some way to like counter this PR because there's no way you could have them. Go ahead.
Are you saying this at this point in the story, like as in the TV series?
Yes, or I just want them to show a commercial.
They're no longer in
Like, how are
business.
these
I don't
dolls being
think.
advertised?
Whoa.
No, they are.
They
I remember the show shipped over 70 dolls to.
No, we can get into that if we're ready at that point. But by the time the show is around, they are buying individual dolls on eBay and shipping them to them, and then they're giving away. I mean, this is spoilers for the TV show. And then as part of the plan, Tiffany as Jennifer Tilly is donating all these vintage dolls out into the world. So they're not in production. These are all refurbished because again, we're not throwing them away. They're all refurbished Chuckies. So they're getting.
But this is it's Morbin time situation now.
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Because if whoever owns the license to Good Guys at this point sees all those dolls selling on eBay, is like, oh, we gotta start making more. This is a hot commodity now. Those millennial, they'll buy anything. They're like their childhood.
I mean, I know that there's especially with Funko Pops out there, there's Funko Pops for pretty much everything. Like I remember to your point, the monster, what was the name? Not Monster in My Pocket, Monster.
My Pet Monster.
My Pet Monster. There's a Funko Pop of that. And like, so it's like there's the licensing would probably be a bunch of Funko Pop Chuckies, which is probably what you'd get at this point. Because they just like, well, I don't want to pay for it to be made, but you can pay me for the license though. That's fine.
Yeah. And especially because of the oh, I broke my brain. Never mind. That's gone.
Well, here's the question then. So we left off before we the jump to present time. We're gonna go back to 3 because 3 is the military school.
Yes, real quick.
Tyler.
So
Tyler, yes.
Yeah. I do want to know everyone's favorite Chucky movie before we get deep into this. We don't have to go into that now, but when we hit that particular movie, I think it'd be important for anyone to defend it. Is anybody their favorite?
I'd have to go 3.
Okay.
As lame as Tyler was, I like 3.
Okay. That's your excuse? No.
Well, I feel like Chucky starts to pun it up a lot in 3.
Right.
He's always been punny in 1 and 2, but like 3, he just kind of really kicks
like
it
the
up a
Freddy
notch.
movies when they got more funnier.
Yeah.
I like Freddy in the later movies, even though the first
one
was scary. But I would say the first one for me because it's the classic.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like the New Hope effect. Like no matter what, the original has a strong. Yeah. Like that's where it all started.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 3, but I like Kyle quite a bit. I thought that was a really good like found family story. Like for I was about to say Alex, but that's the name of the actor. But for Andy and stuff like his,
Andy?
Yeah, for him like getting to meet someone and then she survives and she's with him. She plays that standard final girl role of like one. I think she has an androgynous name. She lives into the end, so it's like there's those kind of horror tropes, but it plays out well. So I really like 2, but I really enjoyed 3, but it's also because I enjoyed like the actor that was in a bunch of different things at that time. And like, I did enjoy the military school setting and there's good moments in it. I don't know if it's going to be 2 or 3, but I'll think about it. I'll say by the end of the pod.
I'm going to go 1. I'm the original. It's the one I'm going to remember the most. It's the introduction. I enjoy just like the way he gets revenge on people. So yeah. I'm going to go 1 on that. All right. Okay. So with that out of the way, we are now on part 3, Military Academy.
Where the rules are reset now because he can now he re-shows himself to Tyler, right? Again, Tyler's the guy.
His blood got mixed in, so he's new. He was remade.
That's a story. Is that since he's been remade, he revealed himself to Tyler first. He's like, that's the goofiness, and the kid is just like totally okay with this talking doll. Like, just like it pops out and it's like he's gonna kill him. Like, what? No, like
a good guy.
Who the fuck are you?
I thought you guys only said 3 sentences.
I'm new and improved.
I never saw a doll like you before.
All right, kid. Fun's over.
What is going on here? But I mean, we are shown that Tyler is like
He's on the
lonely.
spectrum.
Well, he's but he's also very lonely. Like he's been shipped off to boarding school because his dad's away, away at war. So that's the story there.
He's also being bullied, I think. We're introduced to before Chucky shows up, or right as Chucky shows up.
Yeah.
My question then, because there was a lot of blood in that opening scene, why are there not more Chucky dolls in 3? Later on there are, but it felt like 3 is where we should have gotten the explosion of like, all right, basically almost every Chucky doll has a little bit of his blood in it.
I'm gonna guess something to do with electricity. I don't remember how it begins, but normally it's electricity.
Conservation story. Like really, it's just
Scientific.
it's just like, well, we don't have enough budget for that many dolls to be active at once. That's really, I think,
Actually, that is a production note, to be honest with you, and it's the one that follows throughout the series. What's the director's name?
Don Mancini.
He's wanted to do since I think 2. He wanted to do a multiple like doll CGI or I guess puppeteering movie, and they kept telling him like, we don't have the budget for it. We don't have the budget, which is I think part of why he's doing it in. He did it. He finally got a little license to do it in. Is it Cult of Chucky?
They had three
then,
active in the story.
And then he's doing it in the show. But he's been trying to do multiple dolls since.
You also
part
have
2,
it in Bride as well, though, I guess, because you have both Tiffany and Chucky.
Yeah, correct.
So,
right, yeah.
And then in Seed, you've got Tiffany, Chucky, and Glenn.
That was the ugliest doll ever.
There's Glendora, and that's again we've got another movie to get to there. Like this is where this series is bunk.
I think I'd also asked you, going back to 3, Ken. And this is always the question I think stumped both of us, is how did Chucky mail himself to the military school?
I mean, I think we talked about this at some point
because he murders his ride.
Well, he murders like the first executive, and then I'm sure he can just write a note like, I'm taking my own life, and someone please mail this doll to Andy at Police Academy 506 3rd. Like
he 100%. There was a note left on that guy that the CEO's assistant's desk say mail this here, and he or she went, yeah, whatever, man, I'm not going to go into your office. And they didn't find out he was dead till a week later.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, we also didn't figure out how he found Andy without because there wasn't Google at the time. At least it wasn't as prominent.
I mean, yeah, it's a fair. The resources of the company is pretty strong. They're tracking Andy. Andy ruined their brand, and they are tracking him.
They did have a file on him. And we all know toy companies very nefarious in the 80s and early 90s, keeping files and secrets on all.
I feel like it's just good guys.
Customers.
Yeah. What was it? What did you have the name of the company, Patrick?
PlayPal Corporation or something?
PlayPal Corporation.
Yeah.
There you go.
OPC's subsidiary.
The dirtiest of companies. So Chucky gets to the school, starts kind of running amok, decides that he's going to F with Andy instead of, because he has a new body now. And that's when I think he starts to just get really funny with it, because he's more into torturing than he is to murdering Andy at this point.
Yeah.
And he gets to murder a bunch of people in between.
Mm-hmm. He's like, as long as I got that kid in my back pocket, I can do whatever I want out here. Yeah.
At one point, he replaces the paintball ammunition with live ammunition in the fire exercise.
Which at the time I had never paintballed. I don't know if any of you had, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't know you could just do that and just switch out the rounds. That's crazy. Like you can't. That's not how paintball works.
Not true.
Completely not at all how paintball works.
I mean, this is a bad academy. Nobody realized the weight of the guns are different, any of that stuff. It cost life of that one nerd.
Yeah. The one kid who the first time I think I saw someone literally jumping on a grenade in a film, and I'm like, this is like, what? He just, oh no, he's not getting up.
No. You can tell by his broken glasses. That was he's dead. The glasses are broken. He can't see anymore. He's dead. He's dead to the world.
It's the old piggy blow, Larry.
Yep.